Happy January. New year, new books. I see a lot of people posting their cozy winter TBR for January, and I'm a little jealous. Here in Oregon, it has not gotten cold. There are leaves on the ground and flowers starting to sprout, and so it feels like we just skipped winter. I wouldn't mind some freezing mornings, little snow. Looks like that might not happen this year. So this is not a cozy winter TBR, this is just a normal TBR that happens to be in January. Normally I do a wrap-up video from the previous month in the same video as the TBR for the following month, but that would be only Wind and Truth. And I don't want to talk about it in this video because I'm going to have a lot of content about this book coming up soon. I will probably do a spoiler-free review for people who are wondering whether they should read it or how it was. Then I really want to do one with a whole bunch of spoilers so I could get into talking about all the stuff that I loved and hated and not care whether I'm spoiling it or not. And then I'd like to get into some of the characters. I don't know if I'll do full-on character studies or not. Maybe some of the characters that I did from the first books, doing like a continuation. I haven't done Navani at all, or Zeth or Taravangian. I finished it yesterday, and it was a lot. So anyway, this video is not about this book. So next, what I plan on going forward with, something very different. A book that I have seen in a lot of recommendations of something that's like light, easy to read, magical, fairy tale style, and people have made it sound really good, is The Forgotten Beasts of Eld by Patricia McKillip. I thought that I had never read anything by her. I did not recognize her name, but in looking at some of the other books that she's written, I did actually read one of her books 16 years ago. Long enough ago that my little town still had its own bookstore. I had a gift card, I went in and I looked around, and that's when I still did not usually buy new books. I usually only bought used books. And so I went in and I was like, any of these books could be mine. I had a little bit left on my gift card and I was looking around what looks cool, and I saw The Bell at Sealy Head by Patricia McKillip. I do not remember much about it. I remember maybe some ravens and some sea people and a bell tolling, maybe. It has been a long time and I don't have it anymore. But I'm looking forward to going into this one. My husband got me this beautiful 50th anniversary edition. I did not look ahead at who did the cover art, but this beautiful art on the front is also under the dust jacket, inside, front and back. It is so pretty, so beautiful. It feels like I'm going to be entering a fairy tale here. She grew up in Oregon and Great Britain and Germany. I will look up the cover artist before posting a review of it. So I'm looking forward to this being just a nice, sweet, easy read, like a palate cleanser after Wind and Truth, which took a whole month, and such a big conclusion to a long, epic fantasy series. I'm hoping this is very opposite. After this, I am feeling very in the mood for continuing the Tawny Man trilogy. I read the first one, Fool's Errand, a month or two ago. I guess 2 months ago. 1 month ago, I was starting Wind and Truth. So a couple months ago, I started Fool's Errand, really loved getting back into Robin Hobb's writing, back into that world with those characters. I don't know what I should say that could be a spoiler for that one. It is following Fitz as the main character, and he goes on this journey with the Fool to help Prince Dutiful. If you have read the books leading up to the Tawny Man trilogy, then you might be aware of some of the background details that will make this one a little more interesting, with some connections between characters. And it almost felt like Fool's Errand was a setup for the next couple of books. Like, we have to go through this journey with Fitz to get to where he is, to then continue on the story and what happens next. And I'm ready to find out what happens next. In my video of series that I had started in 2024, this is one of the series I plan on continuing, and I plan on working my way eventually through the entire realm of the Elderlings. Probably gonna take a while. Will I finish that or the Wheel of Time first? The Forgotten Beasts of Eld is pretty short. This one will take me at least a couple of weeks. So if I have time, I don't want to plan too much. I want the freedom to mood, read, and decide in the moment, but I do have a couple in mind. These are both also continuations of series I started last year. I will decide in the moment whether I feel more in the mood for Black Powder War by Naomi Novik. This is the third book in the Temeraire series. I loved His Majesty's Dragon. Throne of Jade was fine, not as good, but I have a feeling it's going to pick up a little more and get better in this one. Just kind of based on what's being set up and based on the blurb, what it's about on the back. My favorite thing is the relationship between Lawrence and Temeraire. So if that continues to hold strong and they go on this journey together, have adventures together, growing closer, relying on each other, that's what I really care about. So I don't think it would be too spoilery to say that in Throne of Jade, Lawrence and Temeraire have to go to China. So a lot of that story takes place as they're traveling there, and then once they arrive there and the stuff they have to deal with once they're there, because Temeraire is a Chinese dragon. And then this one will have to do with, I was going to say after something, that might be a spoiler. After the events that happen at the end of Throne of Jade, what Temeraire and Lawrence do next. And then the other one I might be deciding on, if I'm not in the mood for this one, is another dragon book. Because you know those are my favorite. And that's Defiant, the third book in the Songs of Chaos. Black Powder War was also the third in its series. The thing with Black Powder War is that all the books are out, so I can just keep reading whenever I want. I read the first two books in the Songs of Chaos, Ascendant and Unbound, last year, kind of in the earlier part of the year. And when I started, I thought it was a completed trilogy and this was the last one and I was just going to finish it and be done. And then the person who sent me these messaged me and said, so actually there's going to be 5. The other 2 just aren't out yet. So I went ahead and put this one on the back burner, read a bunch of other stuff, but I believe the 4th one might be coming out this year. So I'm gonna get a start on this one. And I need to read it before I forget too much. The main characters, Holt and Ash, were the main characters in the first book. It was the boy and his dragon and their adventure as they grew together. The second book, Unbound, expanded a little more with a couple other characters getting point of view chapters. And the threat, not necessarily that the threat in the world is growing, but the main characters are finding out how much more of a threat it is than they thought. The enemies are almost like zombie creatures. I'm not normally a zombie story kind of reader. Luckily it's not too like overtly this is a zombie story, very creepy kind of thing. But it does add that element of if someone dies, you want to make sure that they are very dead and like can't come back as a zombified version. They're not called zombies. I don't remember what they're called. But this is a dragon rider story, which I love, and it's a world that I have taken a good break from and I'm ready to get back into. And then if I feel like getting into it and having an audiobook going at the same time that I'm reading other books, I might start the next Wheel of Time book. I don't even remember which one I'm on, but I know I'm halfway, so I think I'm on 8. I don't remember which one I'm on, but I know that I am headed towards what is called the slog, which means I'm more likely to rely on audiobooks than reading the physical book for this part. And as the first TBR of the year, I am excited to get into some more books. It's gonna be a good reading year. I think for something new that I'll start doing this year is when I do one of these wrap-up or TBR videos, I'll also put the names of the books and authors I'm talking about in the description. So if any of them sounded interesting and you want to read it, instead of having to scrub back through the video, you can just go in the description and see the name of the one that you liked the sound of. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys a lot. I will put a link to my Patreon and Instagram in the description. And happy reading. Bye.